in Latvia. And welcome to the Titlis Glacier Mountain World Women's Curling Championships, coming to you live from the Volvo Sports Centre. This is draw 6 this morning, and our featured game will be between two undefeated teams in the round robin so far, Sweden and Switzerland. My name's Logan Gray, and today I'm going to be joined by Armin Harder, trying to keep you up to date on what's happening out there in the Volvo Sports Centre. A few Swedish fans in this morning, and also some Swiss ones too. And that is our very own MC Shuffle doing the introductions of the teams. Let's have a look at the teams. Sweden skip and lead, and Margareta Sigfridsson. Second, Maria Wennerstrom. Third, Christina Berdrup. And fourth player, Maria Prutz. And their opposition, the Swiss, Sandra Gantenbein playing lead, Esther Neunschwander playing second, Marlene Albrecht third, and the Swiss skip, Silvana Tirinsoni. So these two teams are the only ones remaining undefeated so far this week. And pretty menacing pack behind them. 5 teams on 2 wins and 1 loss. US and Denmark on 1, and Latvia, Italy and China will be out to get their first win today. Elsewhere in the Volvo Sports Centre this morning, Russia and Canada, Scotland and China, and Latvia and Italy. So there you go, Armin, one of those teams will get a win on the board today.
Morning, Logan. Yes, certainly looks that way. Separate from the crowd or fall back into it.
So Sweden are going to be playing the red stones, and we'll have the last stone in the first end. Here's the Swiss team playing the yellow stones and wearing the white tops. Sandra Gantenbein gets us underway with a very nice top 4 draw.
Good start.
And Armin, in your opinion, what do you think we can expect to see from these teams today?
I think the front ends will certainly make a difference. The Swiss front end has been struggling a little bit, especially lead. She's got to pick up her game, make a difference here. The Swedes are fairly solid. And then the tactical battle with the 2 skips will be quite interesting too. There's quite a bit difference in the way they play.
Yeah, certainly before the game we were talking about just how Sweden seem to play reasonably defensive, but always seem to have so many of their stones in the house.
What I noticed, the Swedes, certainly at the Europeans, they love to go around the center guard or the corner guards when they don't have the last rocket advantage early on in the games.
Well, we definitely identified that as a risky strategy at the time, and it'll be interesting to see if they're persevering with that tactic. For me, it's a real key for them in this game against the Swiss, that they keep the play in the centre when they don't have the last stone. So there are our rules of play. 6 ends minimum in the round robin. Both teams have 73 minutes available to play their 10 ends of stones, and they will be entitled to 1 coach interaction along the way as well. I'd say these two teams probably 2 of the better ones tactically in the competition. Sigfridsson having some tremendous success over the last few years at the international level, even managing to keep Annette Norberg off the international scene for the most part. This is Neunschwander. Makes another good hit and stick here in the first end. And this seems to be the common practice in the first end here this week, Armin.
So I think as they get more and more comfortable with the ice, we may see a little more aggressive play early in the ends coming on later in the week. Ice looks great this morning, and surprised they're actually not going and using it, going after it. And both teams practically drew to the button for the draw shot.
I think we're getting to that stage in the week, Armin, where the teams are fully comfortable with the ice conditions and how the stones behave, and they might be a little bit more aggressive from the start.
Well, I think well, that's from team to team. I guess their philosophies. You always every team has their philosophy. This is the way we start, and they carry that through. I think if Swiss had won a hammer, they probably would have thrown up guards. Tyrensoni likes to play aggressive when she can. Like you said, Sweden tends to want to play more defensive. They're a good hitting team.
Yeah, very good hitting team, Armin. I think that's going to be the key for the Swedes today. If they can make those hit and rolls and get in behind the Swiss guards, then that's where they're going to force some mistakes. Marlene Albrecht throwing third stones for the Swiss team.
Left-hander in the team. His icing is a little bit different for her. You see what the difference made here, and that curled a little more because it was her in turn.
Yeah, of course, and they're coming from a slightly different path as well, coming from the other hack on the other side of the center line. Here's Nina Bertrup. Their first international competition in Champery at the Europeans, and has looked very adept at this level ever since. Just a terrific shot maker.
Yeah, the battles at the individual positions will certainly make the differences here, and the Swiss front end, especially the lead, has been a little weak. Started out certainly getting stronger from game to game. Two of these girls have never been to a World, so our first international competition for Sandra Guntenbein, the first Worlds.
Armin, you obviously know this Swiss team pretty well. Have you had any conversations with the team about why the lead might be struggling, whether it's just confidence,
it's
technique?
A little bit of nerves. First time at an international competition. Esther Neunschwander and Silvana Tyrensoni have been to a number of Worlds together already. Third Worlds for that combination. Marlene Albrecht was in Moscow, played for Bina Felcher. So I think it's just probably a little bit of that. And the ice was a little green the first day. They had 2 games.
Yeah, it did seem to be a little bit slower the first day, but the stones are really starting to glide down the ice now.
Yeah, it looks great now.
Here's Silvana Tyrensoni. Tyrensoni's had a pretty good year on the tour as well, Armin.
Oh, absolutely. The last 2 years they've been really successful on the tours. Won some big events.
Yeah, and even spent some time in Canada, am I right?
They are spending quite a bit of time in Canada. That's certainly helping. It's when you get away from home anytime, you're just focusing on the sport, not worrying about working and whatever else. That certainly helps you game. as you know.
Well, even in working, I'm focusing on curling anyway, so.
That's true, okay.
So here's Maria Pritz taking a little chance here. Savannah Tiernsoni didn't manage to roll into the rings with that takeout. She may have to play a slightly trickier stone this time.
Didn't really finish for her. Stayed fairly straight, so that looks fairly open.
I don't think we'll see anything too fancy here from Tiernsoni. Just really make sure they get the red stone out. Can't achieve much more than that. And
she's going to throw controlled weight at this. It's taking quite a bit of ice, so not going to see a very fast rock.
Yeah, and from our camera behind the hack here, we can see it's probably about 3/4 of that stone seen from the hack by Tiernsoni.
She'll want to stick around with this and force the Swedes to make a shot.
So Sweden get the mistake from the Swiss. And it will be a dream start for Sweden if they can draw the 12-foot circle here. Been watching a few of the games in this end sheet. Does seem to curl a little bit more on that kind of inside of the pad, on the left-hand side of the sheet as we look at it. It's been a little bit straighter towards the barrier. And that one just over curling on Tiernsoni. So here's Maria Pritz with the final stone of the first end, and should be a formality.
Certainly long enough. Yeah, that's a good looking shot.
So there you have it, the simplest of twos in the first end. Maria Pritz with a nice come around, forcing the mistake from Tiernsoni. And one end here, played here in draw 6, Sweden leading Switzerland by 2-0. Okay, so I'm not too sure Sweden would have wanted that one short of the rings.
I don't think so.
That sometimes is not a disaster. It's still a close game. There's only 2 shots in it, and quite often you see when a centre guard goes up that the opposition aren't too keen to throw a corner. So it does actually drag the play into the middle, which is absolutely to the team without the last stone's advantage.
Yeah, Tiernsoni definitely would have thrown up a corner guard if Swedes had got into the house. Like you say, now the game is up the middle.
And maybe that's for the best, Harman. As we said before, certainly the Europeans were a little bit taken back by the Swedes' willingness to go around the corner guards when they didn't have the last stone, so maybe they're kind of erring on that short side.
Did curl a little less here on this intern side. It's a little frost up a little bit on that side. The colder side.
That was a pretty solid takeout there for coming around the guard. I thought Switzerland had a piece covered there, but Margrethe Sigfridsson making it look easy.
Great shot there, nice little hit and roll. Kaltenbein looking a lot more comfortable, certainly in the first two ends, than she has in the last 3 games.
Yeah, perfect start by the Swiss lead. And Sweden on the back foot here in the second end. As I said before though, Armin, this Swedish team generally pretty hot on the takeouts.
And the raised takeouts. Don't have this one though. No guards in play.
Well, although Switzerland drawing to lie 2 here in the second end, I feel like it could be a long end for them to try and hold on to it. So early to have to come into the house. And that definitely plays into Sweden's hands.
This has to sit down very quickly. I don't think it will. That mistake came earlier than might have been thought.
Yeah, perhaps just a little bit slicker up that kind of centre path. Looks like it's going to be another simple end here to start this 6th draw. Sweden managed to magic a deuce out of nothing in the first end, but I don't know where it's going to come from in the second end for Switzerland. We could well see a blank end here.
Important for the Swedes here is to hit that on the nose and stay in front of the tee line. That'll force the Swiss to play hits.
There's Brian Chick, Swiss coach. He's not Swiss, is he, Armin?
No, he's from Toronto.
Yeah, so often the national team's going outside of their own country to find some expert assistance.
Fortunate there to get enough of it.
I think that was maybe a little bit down weight, that one.
Yeah.
Again, that in-turn curling for Marlene Albrecht. Maybe need to keep an eye on that as the game goes on.
Team coach is a Canadian. Mental trainer is a Canadian from Saskatoon.
And that's Fredrik Hallström there, just the Swedish coach. Brian Chick's opposite number. Can confirm that he is Swedish.
Yep.
Okay, so a hit and roll out here from Nina Bertrup. She'll have more important shots today to make a hit and stick than that one.
I would think so. Andy Schwaller, the national coach of the Swiss contingent. Certainly a Swiss.
Okay, so as that one crawls down into the rings, we're going to nip over to Scotland and China. Scotland on 2 wins with a really important win last night against Germany. And China yet to get off the mark. Here's Eve Muirhead with a shot for potentially a couple. It's actually a really tricky shot she was taking on there in the first end. That one's going to over curl, not even close. And it's going to be a steal of 1 in the first end for China. And there you have it, China 1, Scotland 0. Maybe deciding that it's a good time for Eve Muirhead to take a risk. First end, only lying 1 against. They can maybe chalk up 2 or 3 points there, but
risk reward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eve Muirhead will have the last stone in the even ends, which is definitely something they'll be playing for.
Curling quite a bit. Maybe it curls a little more on that side. Warm on that side of the sheet.
Väldigt sträv i handen. Ser lätt ut. Den är lite bakom. Bakom så har du nästan. Ja, Maria. Ja, fint spel. Ja, den 50? Nej, 60. Ja, okej. Okay. Satte nog på den lite grann. Ja, fint. Fina träffar.
So the Swiss will try and blank this end and maintain the hammer going into the third.
No problems for the Swiss. Skip hits and rolls out and preserves the last stone. And after 2 ends, Switzerland still trails Sweden 2 shots to 0. 2 ends played here, and Switzerland leading. Sorry, that was maybe wishful on your part, Armin. Sweden leading Switzerland by 2 shots to 0. And there we see this time Sweden do manage to get their first stone of the end into the forefoot, and as you promised us, Armin, Silvana Ternzoni likes to throw the corner guard, and that's what she will do here.
It'll be interesting to see what the Swedes call next. Of course, this has to get over the hog line in order to stay in play. Sweeper's working in very hard.
I'm pretty sure we'll see a centre guard here from Sweden. It seemed to be more that in that position where if their lead stone did slip back at the tee line,
that's what it was. Yeah.
That Sweden were quite happy to go around the corner. They didn't really have anything to protect on the centre line. But at the same time, I still think you would see a lot of the best teams throwing a tight centre guard with their second stone to try and drag the play into the centre. Certainly a really risky strategy to go around the corners when you don't have the last stone.
Positioning here being very important to make sure you cover that. Guntenbein being asked to go around the center guard and freeze to the top of that shot Swedish rock. This needs to curl quite a bit. Why they wouldn't sweep that in behind it, since it wasn't going to freeze anyways.
Yeah, a little bit hopeful there with the line call that was just going to grind to a stop in front of that red. So the key here for Sweden is to roll away to the wing, and they've done a really good job of that. Nice shot there by the youngest member of the Swedish team, Maria Wennerström. So will be another attempt at the freeze here, Neuenschwander. Well, that's the one they were looking for there, Armin.
Nice looking shot.
Okay, so this
got rocks in play now.
Well, absolutely, and Sweden can't afford to really take that centre guard off. They're going to have to really get involved in this third end and try and freeze their way out. Just really looking for this around the top of the 8-foot circle. So a big sweep here for weight. Doesn't get it down there, but probably airs on the right side. Definitely don't want to come down here and bounce off. And I think we'll see the Switzerland try and blow this centre line open. So here's Neuenschwander with the big weight peel. Trying to blast these guards off. Open up the free and the corner guard. Super shot here by Neuenschwander. Even gets some of the stones in the house moving too. And although Sweden with a chance to lie 3, nothing really guarding them. And that centre guard will be open now.
She'll want to roll away from this also. Over to the side. Tony will probably try and tap these back a bit. Play takeout on these, but you want to keep the shooter around.
Absolutely, Armin. It's just, I don't actually mind this call. Spray these 2 reds, and it does open up the corner guard quite nicely. You can maybe even roll this over towards the other red on the other side of the house. So not exactly what they were looking at. And here's Italy and Latvia. Latvia not getting off to the best of starts. Suffered a disappointing loss to Japan last night. And losing 3 in the first end. Here is Tasa Sarsuna with her final stone of the second end. Chance for a multiple score. Oh, makes a delicious double takeout. And a score of 2 in the second end. Another high scoring encounter looks like for Latvia this morning. And 2 ends played there is Italy 3, Latvia 2.
Could have hit it thinner. Stayed in front of that red one. Right now only 3rd shot, so it doesn't really factor in at the moment.
I wonder if they'll be quite happy to leave that yellow stone in the wing. The only thing is they don't have a huge amount to protect on the centre line either.
They may just remove this just to be safe.
Lite ut kanske. Ja. 90. Va? 90. Ja, 80 kanske där ute, eller? Ja, det är okej, 80. Ja, känns bra tycker jag. Jag spelade i 80, det var ju jätte... Försiktigt. 80! Ja, upp lite.
So a good shot there by Maria Pritz, just hits and rolls away and leaves those 2 red stones in play. So it looks like they may be going for the double takeout here.
Yeah, rolling behind the guard is not going to get her shot, so ideally she'd like to roll in front of that red Swedish rock. Nice shot with a little backing. Just rolled too far.
Fantastic attempt though. That just rolled a couple of inches less. And Sweden would have a real job on their hands, but now they can just split the rings and force the one here in the third end.
Yep.
Ja, vi behöver ju få in en mitt på vitt. Alltså vi behöver dra en andra sten.
Helt på vitt måste det vara.
Ja.
Ja.
Gärna 10 liksom.
Det kommer liksom en nytt spår så att vi ska ha 60 eller 55. Ja, 60 tror jag. Men jag tänkte snarare om det är 55 eller om det...
Det tror jag inte.
Vi kommer ju fram i första spåret. 60 då. 60 tror jag.
So Maria Pruitt's just looking for this one. Right on the tee line. It's not right on the tee line. There could be a possible double take hit off that wide yellow. But it looks like they've got their weight pretty good here. Really good separation between these stones.
Perfect.
Fint spel Maria.
Den är bra.
55. 55 själv. Läcka ordet. Läcka ordet.
Wasn't much discussion there. Quite clear.
Yeah, the great thing about Maria Pruitt's draw there is that it managed to get wide enough to really take any temptation away from the Swiss team to go for a double. Even if they were in the forefoot though, it probably would be a big call to go for the double. Don't want to risk giving up a steal and going further behind in this game.
It's got to come down a bit. It's looking a little warm. It's looking a little warm.
Oh dear. Slovana Ternzoni slips all the way through the 8 foot, and it's a real gift for the Swedes. A score of 2 in the third end out of nothing, and Sweden leading Switzerland by 4 shots to 0.
Okej, ja, så är det svårt. Ja, och så.
Welcome back to the Titlis Glacier Mountain World Women's Curling Championships 2013, live from the Volvo Sports Centre in Riga, Latvia. This is draw 6, the 8:30 draw. A graveyard shift, and Sweden off to the simplest of starts to get a 4-0 lead after 3 ends. And got to say, Armin, that's really the thing about this Swedish side, is that they just seem to do the simple things really well all the time. Gantenbein playing 72% so far today. Would you agree with that assessment of the Swedish team, Armin?
Well, certainly it does help if your opponent does make simple errors also. It's first sign of weakness. Sonia here after 3 games of solid play. A little off this morning. Still a lot of game to go though. Yeah, it's important now for the rest of the team, the Swiss team, to hang in there and help out their skip and get them back in the game.
Sigfridsson playing 80% for the week so far. Maybe a little bit below her usual standard, but as you said before, Armin, still early in the week and ice has been a little bit green, certainly in the first day. So I'm sure we'll see that number start to rise as we go through the round robin. So Armin, you're the Swiss team, and there's not been that much between these two teams, but they're trailing by 4 shots to 0, pretty much just down to one simple miss. How do the team pull together and support Silvana Tirinzoni after a missed shot like that?
Well, they'll have to continue to put their rocks into good positions, give their skip a chance to make a shot or two and get on the scoreboard. What you don't want to see is your team collapse around you and give your skip, who's struggling a bit here. 2 shots she didn't make. Give her too many tough shots. Give her some simple shots here and get back in the game.
So Gantenbein doesn't manage to quite make it over there behind the corner guard. Maria Wennerstrom having a very nice week so far, playing 85%. And this is her kind of game. She likes to throw the takeouts, really accurate with the big weight.
Again, rocks in play for the Swiss. Not too bad positioning. They can utilize them somehow. Important to get some good positioning on these shots now. Force that Swedish team to make some tough shots. 80% for Neuenschwander throughout the tournament so far.
Yeah, not always that easy to follow up with a good number when your position before you has been maybe struggling a little bit, not necessarily leaving you the easiest shots. So this one's a little bit heavy and going for plan B. Chips the top one and leaves it in a reasonably useful position. Would like to make this one a little bit harder to remove though for the Swedes.
It out nicely.
Friesen hinderen?
Da.
Ja. Ist einfach der ist nice.
Ja, das Problem ist einfach, sie knallt nachher drauf und dann sind die alle vor der Tee. Kein nichts mehr.
Was ist, wenn wir... Willst du schnell schauen gehen?
Tirinzoni should worry a little bit about the one on the top of the 8 foot, maybe push it back. It's the only rock she's got is the one behind the tee line that's doing her any good.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right here, Armin. I think it might be an idea to maybe play a double takeout off that one in the centre line into the wide ones, and it is going to sit in front of that stone behind the tee.
You can always use that one behind the tee a little later.
Står du?
Ja.
Well, I think they concur with our assessment for once, Armin.
It's Nuni.
Ja.
Absolutely right, though. That stone on the top of the 8-foot circle is the only one that's really threatening Switzerland at the moment. And as a result, that's the one that needs to be moved.
Ja.
You can err on the thin side here and even slide through off the second one.
Just reposition these rocks a little bit, give her something to shoot at for the next one. Set up the next series of shots. Trying to thin this, doesn't want too much of it. Just didn't quite get the angle right.
Yeah, just a fraction too thin. Chips it over and leaves one around on the edge of the 12-foot behind the corner guard. It might be useful later on. If they just caught an edge of that wide red, it would have redirected onto the back one, but no such luck on this occasion.
Finds the hole. Yeah.
Får den med framför våran och en till som täcker ryggen. Ja, hur lika gärna kan dra din dit. Det finns inget drag.
Down the third's rocks, and there's still no Swiss rocks in play, so that'll be a little concerning.
Om du tycker att det ser okej ut så känns det lite mer.
Ja, risken är att det blir lite rörigare bara.
De ska smälla bort deras korn annars.
Kan ni sig tänka, men ju mer stenar vi har så är det hjälpsten för dem.
Jag tycker att det där är bra, ja. För då kommer en sten rakt framför och så kommer vi att ligga i framkant istället för...
Det är lite så här, annars är det bara massa.
Förlåt, så är det 30?
Ja.
30.
Actually trying to bump things around a little bit and giving even more cover behind the tee line.
This will help the Swiss a little bit.
Vart ju öppen våran med framkantsten, men inte låst. Nu kan vi använda den. Och så är det 2 bakkantstenar.
A nice chance here for Marlene Albrecht. And through 3 games, she's playing 74% this week. Maybe room for improvement there.
Certainly is. Youngest member of the team. We'll need to work this. Get it nice and close. The angle not quite right on that.
No, unfortunately for Switzerland, if Sweden play a takeout here, then it's probably just going to bounce it off that red and across the back of the wide red. So, should be straightforward here for Bert Roop. Sigfridsson not holding back with the line call here.
No, that's certainly not good enough. It was good enough though.
Really raising the decibel in here this morning. Sure some of the spectators won't be thanking her for that this morning. Luckily she's on the far side of the arena for most of the spectators, so. Well, gets the job done anyway.
Yeah, and the roll wasn't half bad either.
Well, I don't think it's maybe the right spot to go for a freeze.
No.
Don't really have anything available to them, and
not much to freeze to.
No. We just have to move things around here and try and set something up for Townsoni's first stone.
Väck. Nej, ner.
Snows is it. That doesn't really change anything, unfortunately, for the Swiss.
Ja.
Han ju nästan drar skottet bakom sin corner, va?
Man vickar in på
In
den
a pretty
där och
good
så man,
position here.
får man undan den för dem, höll jag på att säga.
Känns som de skulle kunna
Ja, precis.
behöver inte vicka längre än dit.
Nej.
Yeah, Sweden lying 3 at the moment.
Chappen är helt okej också.
Under normal conditions, I wouldn't say Switzerland is in any trouble, but they need to generate points. And Tiernsoni has missed the draw in the last end.
Har inte de vicken då?
Well, it's amazing how these things work sometimes. You miss a draw against 2 in the previous end and you're not feeling that good about yourself and about your draws, and then could well be in this end that Tiernsoni has to make another draw to the 8 foot against a whole heap of reds here.
Ja, 3 eller 4.
Vill du spela 80?
Ja. Nej. De har en trippel där.
Let's help Swiss team. What Fritz was worried about.
Yeah, definitely gives them a lifeline here.
Hade kunnat släppt den lite för att
Få ut den ännu mer. Ja.
Sometimes you'd rather not throw your own rock because you only make your position even worse.
Yeah, maybe just didn't quite err on the right side there.
Big shot here for Tiernsoni to find her draw weight, get back into this game.
Tiernsoni playing 80% for the week. Pretty solid numbers for a skip.
This is way short.
So Sigfridson's nominating one at the top of the 8 foot circle here, and Tiernsoni looking out of sorts this morning.
Margans är ju 55-60 som vi bara slita dit till 12. Jag tror att 60-65 på dig tar.
Ja, bara den inte glider på till 10 då.
Ja, det tror jag. Vi har ju sopat hennes hela vägen också. Och hennes är 60 liksom.
Det känns som jag skulle vilja dra andra handen.
Vad tänker ni för fart?
Ja, jag är lite sugen på att spela andra handen.
Jag drog ju här!
Ja, men jag har bara dragit här.
Ja. Han var ju så hårda på klockan.
Det är lite svårt att ställa om vad Maria ska spela.
Jag tror samma fart!
Nej, det är inte samma fart. Det är lättare här.
Jag tror 65 är bra.
Well, I'm not too sure what the discussion is here, but one thing's for sure, they just need to plonk one in around about the top of the 8 foot somewhere.
70.
And just make that draw a little bit more difficult for Tiernsoni's last.
Vad nära jag var.
Det känns som tid. Ska vi ta den långt bak
Ganska
eller?
långt ut.
Den är
This is certainly not looking in the top of the house.
fortfarande dra en bit ner. Kan vi ta den långt bak eller? Fångar den så långt. Här är helt okej. Nej, det är inte där. Helt öppet. Den är mitt på 10.
Maria Pritt's not really giving the sweepers a chance on that one.
Ledsen.
And Tiernsoni is going to have to play against 6 here in the 4th end. Like I said before, Armin, it's just like Sweden get a head start and then they're so good at the hitting game that just all of a sudden there just seems to be this massive Swedish stones that build up in the house that just come from nowhere.
Swiss haven't really made a shot in this end, have they? Not getting rocks in position at all. Only making it easy for the Swedes. This, under normal conditions, this should be a routine shot for Tiransoni, but struggled here a bit with her draw away.
Well, there's one thing's for sure. I don't think she'll be late with this one. She does have some backing, but the blood could be pumping a bit after a couple of missed draws. Line looking pretty good. Can the sweepers get it down there onto the 1 foot? And this one's going to
curls.
maybe just brought the ice in there, thinking he'll throw this one a little bit harder. Throws it T-weight, and it's another steal for Sweden. And after 4 ends, Sweden leading Switzerland by 5 shots to 0.
Jag var lite otydlig. Jag tänkte att det går att spela samma fart som på disciplin. Alltså först hade det varit hart.
Ganska stor skillnad.
Jag tycker verkligen att det skiljer mellan 20 framförallt mellan er och det var det. Eller jag tror det.
Sen när jag bara spelar där så känns det inte så jätte...
Jag tyckte också vi sa det, 60-65 i Sotla vägen då kära var på Maria spelar på 61 vi ska hålla plats där.
När vi gick och dödade.
Den är lite positiv.
4 ends played here in draw 6. Sweden leading Switzerland by 5 shots to 0. My name's Logan Gray, and I have Armin Harder with me, head of high performance for Swiss Curling and Curling Champions Tour Director. Thanks for joining us this morning, Armin.
Thank you, Logan. Would prefer to see a little bit closer game than we're looking at right now.
Well, absolutely, Armin. And from your perspective, what does Switzerland need to do better to get back into this one?
Well, certainly Tiransoni, who's been rock solid all season, is struggling a little bit with a couple of shots here, and how quickly you're looking at 4-0 or 5-0. That's certainly got to change, but her team's got to pick it up now and get rocks into position and give her a chance. There's still lots of game left. There's 6 ends, and this team doesn't give up. They fighting all season, so.
And over the last few years, we have become pretty used to seeing a different Swiss team out here, Miriam Ott. And although Switzerland's struggling this morning out here on the ice with Tiransoni's team, am I right in saying it's not all doom and gloom for Swiss curling today, Armin?
Well, certainly not. I mean, Swiss Championships, this team beat Miriam Ott 3 times out of 4, so it's not like they don't deserve to be here. They certainly deserve to be here, but Miriam Ott decided to play in Grand Prairie this weekend. All the top Canadian teams, the Joneses, the Netherlands, Lawton, and wins against Tracy Horgan from Sudbury, wins the final in Grand Prairie. So good result there. The only European team in an all-Canadian competition.
Yeah, super result for Miriam Ott. And do you think that's a decision that Miriam maybe took to help her get some extra points for the Olympic qualification for Switzerland?
That's correct. Tiransoni, Ott fighting now for those all-important points to force the qualifier or even go in direct. There's a 19-point difference between the two of the teams in the Swiss curling ranking system. Any team that's 40 points or more has a direct qualification, 40 points or more separation. So both these teams trying to get a lead here. Tiransoni being here will collect points, and then there's the Players' Championship final where both teams will be collecting points too. So if they're within 40 points of each other, there'll be a trial for next October between the two.
Okay, and how do the standings look at the moment, Armin?
Well, Tiransoni's 19 points behind Ott. Ott will probably collect about 30 here, I would imagine, coming off this tournament. So Tiransoni would be looking to keep that close again and have a good result here at these Worlds. 45 points being available at this Worlds for the Order of Merit. This was curling ranking system similar to the CTRS system in Canada, based on the Order of Merit, the World Team Ranking. All the tour events, the World Curling Tour in Canada and the Champions Tour in Europe, all those events worth points.
And is it pretty much just a two-horse race now, Armin?
It is only a tour. Tiransoni winning the Swiss Championship and coming this event here actually opened it up again. If Miriam had won the final, then she would have been actually through pretty well.
Okay, so Latvia, Italy, two teams kind of propping up the table so far this week on 0 and 3, and here's Diana Gaspari with the final stone of the fourth end. The third end was blanked, and another chance for a whole heap. Just about makes a double for a huge amount of stones, maybe more than 4. I'm not sure what's at the back of the picture there, but it would be a score of 3 for Italy in the fourth end. And after 4 ends, the home nation in more trouble, trailing by 6 shots to 2. But remember, the Latvians do seem to be pretty good when they're behind in the game. They've fallen behind in their last 2 games and still managed to make a fist of things. Coming right back against Japan and narrowly missing out on an extra end. Back in our featured game, Switzerland and Sweden. Here's Neunschwander choosing to come around the corner guard here.
Just not getting good positioning on those rocks that needed to stay shot. Swedes hitting very well as expected.
Inget bra att slå på den inåt. Ska vi bara ta cornern? Ta bort cornern, mamma. Annars den. Går den att slå över? Ja. 90. Vad vi tror? Ingenting. Ja, det är högar.
Well, not too sure exactly what Sweden are doing with this ice. They may well just be trying to chip out the short rock around the outside. I've found a nice line with this stone, the Swiss. And they'll want to roll this one away. It wasn't an easy shot there for Bertrup. Couldn't really see much of that stone at all from the hack.
Surprised she didn't rip the guard actually.
Ja. Genau so.
Gives the Swiss the opportunity to try this again. Miriam Albrecht. Marlin Albrecht. Sorry. Youngest player on the team. Just turned 25. That's a better shot.
Jag kan tänka mig 90 också. 0 va? Maria slår ju fin där. Jag satt min med 10 på dig. Alltså jämförbart. Ja. Hyfsat rakt där.
Yeah, so still not quite managing to stay north of the T line here. Plenty of room for them to get around this and tap it through. I think they just sneaked that one by the guard and maybe touch it, Armin. We can talk about that one in a minute. We're going to nip back over to Scotland and China. China stealing the first two ends and forcing it in the third. Here's Bing Yuang, 0-3 so far this week and desperately needing a win to get this World Championships back on track and score some all-important Olympic points this week. Had a nice shot there by the Chinese skip. A score of 1 in the fifth end, and at half time, that's actually after 4 ends, not 5. And China leading Scotland by 3 shots to 1.
Yep, a lot of these teams still trying to get Olympic points, qualifying their nation to the Olympics in Sochi. Switzerland and Sweden not too concerned about that. Both teams in the final last year of the Worlds have enough points. This World Championships and last year's World Championships are the points that are qualifying the teams for the Olympics.
Yeah, we just mentioned China as well. They don't have many points at all. They finished way down the pack in Lethbridge last year.
8th or 9th last year, yeah. So they'll need a 6th or 5th or 6th place at least to qualify for those Olympics. Great shot there.
Well, that's the beauty of lining those stones up with the lead stones. Well, China actually finished 11th last year
11th
at the World Women's.
So they'll need to move up quite a bit to collect points. Enough to qualify. Top 7 qualified direct of the Worlds. The 8th place team will be Russia as a host nation, and then 2 more teams will qualify out of a special qualification round where all teams that didn't qualify direct from the last 3 World Championships will be able to play a special play-down.
I'm
But
sure
you don't really want to go there.
No, you really don't. There's going to be a lot of pressure there. So much on the line. I'm sure that'll be an exciting event to watch as well.
It will be, yeah.
So here's Townsoni trying again for this freeze. Again, facing heaps of red stones. Just feel like Switzerland skip Townsoni just needs to make one good shot, one good freeze, force a mistake, and all of a sudden the confidence would be back.
Just not working for it at the moment.
Yeah, she just seems to be a little bit the wrong side of the inch at the moment. And I think Townsoni thinking that she should still be in her bed this morning.
It actually started with the first draw shot for the hammer. Sweden put her on the button. Townsoni threw hers. The sweepers didn't sweep it all the way down. Just at the last few feet, they ended up putting the brushes to it, and it comes up about 3 inches too short. And it went from there.
One of the things I've noticed about this team, Armin, the Swedish team of course, is that when the stone actually gets played, there's no communication, well, there's no line calling from the actual thrower, which is quite unusual. It all comes from Sigfridsson. You probably get more than enough from Sigfridsson to probably be perfectly honest. But there's nothing, especially from Maria Pritz. It's quite unusual for a for a fourth player. You'll see her just sit there quietly and let her stone run its course.
Pretty hard for a player to do, actually. Watch his own rock and not say anything. I know I could never do that.
Well, especially on your in-turn, Armin.
Thank you very much.
Walked onto that one.
Yeah, I did. Well, do they have anything? They need that back one, and the back 8 is shot. Boy, this draw isn't simple either. There's not a lot of room there.
Well, there might be a narrow port there just to wiggle one up the center line and into the 4-foot circle. Certainly no shot available for 2 at the moment. This is a tough draw.
Yeah.
I wonder if the tap up on the outside red might be easier, but also very, very risky.
Tap it through the back of the house, you mean?
Yeah.
Give up 4. She's trying to come through the. Where is she going with this?
I think there's
through the port between the one in the center line and the one in the top of the 8. Is there another port there?
Yeah, there seems to be a small gap there.
Really, really tough draw here.
So can Ternzoni thread this one through the gap? Line looking good.
Eh? Yep.
How's the weight?
Oh, no, that's so unfortunate there. Just not working for her. Another steal 1.
Well, you feel that she should probably get some sort of reward for finding her way through that port, but just a little bit too much speed, and it was another steal. And Switzerland will have to wait until the second half of the game to get their first points. 5 ends played here, and it's Sweden 6, Switzerland 0.
Last stone in the first end. A fairly easy draw after Ternzoni misses the takeout. Score of 2 for the Swedes in the first end. Third end, Ternzoni, a relatively simple draw to outcount those 2 Swedish shots. Just not coming down for her. Rock keeps sliding and slides about that much too far to allow the Swedes to steal another 2 in the third end to go 4-0. And here in the fourth end, Ternzoni looking at 6 Swedish counters as backing. Sweepers have to work it. Finds the right weight, but it just over curls and will allow another steal.
So elsewhere on the ice, Russia trailing Canada by 2 shots to 1. China leading Scotland by 3 shots to 1 after 4, and Italy leading Latvia by 6 shots to 2.
Han vill se till att få spela de enkla stenarna med ett högt fokus.
Ja, precis. Fast på sidorna, de skiljer sig lite. Fuck.
gott om tid också.
Mest i takt. Det är roligt i alla fall. Det verkar härligt. Det ser kul ut.
Go, take her two. Steal.
Ja, absolut.
Ja. Skatsu.
Was meinst du?
Skatsu.
Ja, natürlich. Ist etwas schwierig.
Also. Nein, wahrscheinlich nicht.
Ich habe nicht so gespürt.
Ja. Ich habe schon im letzten Ende, ich habe irgendwie 2 oder 3 Draws gehabt im letzten Spiel. Ich habe irgendwie überhaupt kein Gefühl für den Draw.
Ja, aber bis jetzt ist es gekommen.
Ja, weil ich habe
Nur
praktisch
jetzt
nur
gerade
in der TK gespielt, die anderen Spiele.
Team stats after 5 ends. 83% for Sweden plays 70% of Switzerland. And just outplaying them in every area, really. Some misses from Terzoni, really putting some pressure on the Swiss team. Certainly that steal of 2 in the third end, really blowing this game wide open for the Swedes. They'll be pretty pleased with their morning's work so far. Come in, see a reasonably one-sided performance in the first half of this game. Still a long way to go, but Sweden certainly put themselves in a great position to win this 6th round encounter. You see it, 4 stolen points in the 3rd, 4th and 5th end, and Sweden leading Switzerland by 6 shots to 0 here at the Titlis Glacier Mountain World Women's Curling Championships 2013. If you have just joined us, my name is Logan Gray, and with me I have head of high performance of Swiss curling, Armin Harder, calling the shots for us and keeping me right. So we've seen Switzerland trying to use the corner guard. Sandra Gantenbein having a much better game so far today, playing 90%. Maybe not her brilliant best the first few games, but really starting to find her feet now here at the Volvo Sports Centre in Riga, Latvia. So Turns only took a lot of ice there. I don't know if that was a conscious decision not to take the corner guard as wide as they have been making it, but see, the problem with that is that they are going to choke off that in-turn drop.
Ja. Det är samma. 60. 55, 60.
Lite strävare den där. Nina tror jag.
Bra fart!
Nina!
Bra linje! Bara fart!
Nära 12. 12, 8.
Bara fart!
8.
8, 4! Linjen är jättefin! Bara lite omlopp! Här är bra! Bara stanna då. Jättefin linje. Bra.
Fint spel, härligt.
Snyggt, Maggan.
60.
Rigi hög.
Okay, so throwing the corner guard to the other side now. Just looking for something around the top of this Titlis logo.
Sett längre ut.
Nej, det känns på ett stry.
Nej, sett längre
Ja,
ut.
kom bis zu dir, wo du stehst.
Okej, gut.
drifts a little bit deep, and there might be a chance here for a double appeal for the Swedes. Well, I don't want to play to go behind the corner guard, but at the same time, I don't think they want to build up too many stones in the center line. And calling for a hit and roll to the center here, Maria Wennerstrom. Playing 88% today. Solid shooting by the Swedish second player. Let's just make the straight peel. Another corner guard going up here, and at some point Switzerland will come down and try and freeze those two reds on the forefoot, maybe even bump them around and create a nest. Well, a good hit and roll here. They're just trying to take away that potential freeze, but I understand why they're not going for the double peel on those two guards. Certainly no need to mix things up and leave stones in play. Esther Neunschwander playing 73% today. A little bit below her average for the week.
Het sicher nicht gleich fest wie die anderen. Då kan man lika gärna vicka och garda med sten i bo.
Vore det skönt att få bort den där? Jag ska se, nu är den bara hjälpsen för dem. Ja, precis. Dubbel med branten så finare ut.
Ja, precis. Men vi kan ju spela den. Det gör ju inte något om vi trycker in den där.
Kan vi inte göra samma?
Visst är den här som är farlig?
Jag tycker också det. För det där
ska de göra. I och för sig, de har fortfarande vicka.
Ja, men
Okay,
då
so
säger vi skjuta på.
at the moment, Sweden lying
Ja, precis.
3 reds.
Spela den här då. Vi kullar ju ganska mycket här.
Ja. Alltså var det bara clearing?
And looks like we will finally go for this double peel that's available to them. It's been there all end, but they've been quite content just to peel the corner.
Ja, det är bara den som är farlig. Skulle de göra någon fin vikt på cornern så är den nära att skjuta ner.
Dubbeln är brant, men det är typ klira den här.
Big hill to climb here for the Swiss.
Well, it sure is. Christina Bertrup having a nice game as well, playing 83%. Expect her to get pretty close to this double peel. All makes the single peel.
Bra Nina. Ja, bra.
Så har vi ner. Så ska vi skjuta Svenike.
Kan ni nu spyrli med ha?
Det här.
Marlene Albrecht playing 76% today. Just I think a lot of average performances in the Swiss team in this game, and to be honest, average isn't really going to cut it against these Swedish guys.
No, just not quite enough.
Anyway, as this one comes into the rings, we're going to nip over 2 sheets to have a little peek at Scotland, China. Let's see how the 5th end concluded here. Susie Eve Muirhead of Scotland throwing her final stone, and looks like they're being forced to the 1. Just needs to draw to the 8 foot. Certainly don't want to slip any further behind in this match. Okay, and finds the 4 foot. So will be a score of 1 in the 5th end, and China leading Scotland by 3 shots to 2.
Swedes remove that corner guard, exposing the Swiss rock in the 8 foot. But Sweden still lying with 3 counters. Albrecht will have to move a couple of these rocks around. No zip.
Lite vick inne bra, bara omsätt.
Du vill ha 90?
Ja.
För att det gick rakt. Det är ganska rakt där.
Okay, so we've got a couple of Yellowstones in the house. We've not seen much of that so far in this game, Harman.
Not at all, no. Or we've just seen them in there briefly as they slid through the back.
Poor Switzerland. It's just not been their day so far. But they do have a useful one there at the top of the 4 foot circle, frozen on. But after that hit and roll, it's still lying 4th shot.
How do you move the reds around and try and maintain some sort of shot position?
Lite löst, hörde du va? Sägs nicht viel, gell, von dem?
Nej. Ja, så en early.
A triple possibility there, but that doesn't really do much for you, does it?
No, for me they've got a couple of options. Could play a hit and roll on that red stone just played by Maria Pritz. Hit and roll under the red, and then it means at least the Swedish team have to hit the yellow and the red and maybe spin a couple that way.
You've seen what the Swedes have done when the rocks have been lined up.
Yeah. They might still be able to get a takeout for 2 out of that one. The other option could well to freeze the shot stone. And then we've got 2 stones frozen on. Maybe they try and blast one out, and there could well be a skinny double on the other 2 past the top yellow. But still not that easy, but I definitely think that's the stone to make a play on.
I like the freeze on this one here.
They definitely need to make a play on that one because there is still a potential skinny double on the other side.
Really don't have much to lose. Might as well give her a try. Scots had a game like this yesterday against the Swedes.
Du ist jetzt so streng.
Nein, also ich glaube, viel ist es nicht. Eher wenig.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a common theme. Sweden really been dominant. I'd like to know what they do in their warm-up because they're really coming out the traps fast in every single game. Getting off to great starts and really killing their opposition off in the first half.
I think they're doing too much, actually. I think the opposition's been doing it to themselves. See the mistakes of this game percentage, 40. That's practically unheard of for Tiransoni. Usually the strongest shooter on her team.
Well, it looks like they are going after this freeze. Must not be short with this stone.
I don't know if she's done anything with the rocks because she's coming up short with that one all the time.
Well, actually, I'm trying to think. I think Latvia were playing yellow yesterday, and they had a stone that was coming up short quite a lot. But I thought it was maybe the number 8 stone. So I don't know if it's just the skips pair aren't particularly well matched, or I'm not too sure. But certainly the skips playing the yellow stones on this end, she are really struggling. And something tells me this is not going to get any easier for Ternzoni.
Nope.
Inte vill spela Silvana stenar i alla fall någon gång.
Jag sa det, 1 och 2. Ja, jag tror det är hennes teknik som gör att det...
Men det ser jättefint ut.
Ja.
Gör det.
Bita 4?
Ja, alltså nästan fryst.
70, 65, 70. Man kan
Alltså bita 4 är ju bra. Den ligger ju på 10 liksom. Så att det är ju... Nej.
Maggan sista var 60, 65. Den var ju där. Den har vi väl kort va? Ja, då tror jag 70 är fint.
Tror ni?
Kändes det hårt eller löst?
Det kändes löst. Det kändes som en gard. Jag ska ända ut hit.
Jag tycker det är lättare där ute än när de får gå över linan. 65 är bra.
Ja, det tror jag också är bra.
So plenty of discussion in the hack, and I'm sure Maria Pritz will know not to be heavy with this one, as Maria Wennerstrom immediately indicates that the stone's heavy. This one's going to drift a little bit too far. Could well be Silvana Ternzoni's best opportunity to score today. A whole wall of stones that she can draw against here.
Var det 50?
No way taking all 4 of those out, unfortunately.
Final stone of the 6th end. Silvana Ternzoni facing 4 Swedish counters this time. This one with a little bit of work to do.
Needs to curl up. She's staying out there.
And this is going to be another steal. Looks like 3 reds.
Shaking hands.
And Silvana Ternzoni's had enough here. It will be a steal of 3 and a 9-0 victory for Sweden. Sweden move on undefeated to 4 wins and no losses. Switzerland will move on to 3-1.
Cool. As Logan makes his way down to an interview with Sigurdsson. We'll switch to another game here. We'll switch to Russia against Canada That game's all tied up after 6 ends of play. And Canada has the hammer. Krivkova and put a second rock into play around the center guard.
Да-да-да, не бросать. Да-да-да, девочки, да, отлично идет, отлично идет. Тащите. Поменяться. Свип и ниже, максимально, да. О, не надо. Нет.
Slipping behind the tee line. Canadians, I'm sure, will try and take advantage of that. Running back the center guard. Krivkova being asked to replace that center guard. Cover up her 2-shot rocks in the middle of the house.
Down here, their time, like theirs that they threw top 12, they pounded the whole way, and it made sense. Like the pack should be good.
Emma Miskew getting some instructions from her sweepers. Wait, trying to draw around the center guard, put one into the 4-foot. Canada trying to score 2 points here. Looking pretty good. Gets around the front of that, buried into the 4-foot. Nice finish on that.
It's a little slow. That felt like draw weight, but you have to sleep it the whole way.
Okay.
Big finish at the end of this on this rock. Just buries in behind that. One in the 8-foot.
Still a little sticky there, I think. Так стоит у них. До ти.
Это русский 75 был, 75-8. Такой же был бы замечательно.
Почему это такое?
Это такой был у тебя с самого начала.
Вот здорово. Вот здорово.
К нему, да?
Да, к нему.
75 где-то. От 7 до 8 добавишь.
Anna Sidorova. In-turn draw, trying to freeze to that Canadian rock. Maybe move it out.
Нет, совсем.
Назад. Нет. Рит, протирай. Протирай.
Сади пока. Садись, Люсь.
Не, пусть останется.
Давай за.
Да.
Хорошо.
Weight was good, just a little bit long. Would have preferred to set up in front of that yellow rock. Canadians now able to come down on top of that.
So just like a back button. Okay. But even if I can release it, there's no double. Is there?
Well, it depends. Like if you roll off at all, there is. You
Okay.
like have to get 2 hours. But we also can't hit our own, or there's
Yeah.
a double.
Okay, Armin, I'm back just in time for an update between Scotland and China. Here's the final stone of the 6th end. Bing Yuang 3-2 up on the Scots at half-time. And this one's going to be a big team effort. Yin Liu out to help. Chance to score the deuce here. And they can't drag it far enough. It's going to be a score of 1 in the 6th end. And the winless China so far this week, leading Scotland by 4 shots to 2.
Line's good. Stay close. Line's really good.
Rachel Homan
Line's really good.
Right there.
Well
trying
done.
to come down to the top of this Russian counter. Maybe
No,
move
no,
it
never.
away a bit.
Still there. Never.
Something.
No. Not touching it.
Not wanting to set up a double. This is
Okay.
just a little wide. Didn't finish up for it.
A lot quicker now.
That'll certainly allow
Exactly
the
what I
Russians to
said.
freeze another one in there.
I thought it looked like more. Yeah, it looks a lot quicker now. Только так, мне кажется.
Лучше выше и сюда пошире. Нам нельзя, чтобы он перевалил.
There's much there except freezing down on top of her own, trying to steal one.
Ну так, да, если что? Или лучше все-таки подмазать? Еще раз на желтый, если нет, то выше. Нам нельзя в эту сторону ей. Я его подкручу сейчас очень внимательно с весом. Лучше выше оставьте его. Нельзя, чтобы отлежало, там ничего нет.
69 у меня был.
Посильнее.
И у Рики 65.
Все в конце. 7-5-8 подкручу.
Да?
75 нормально.
Есть хороший сам.
Лучше на сам богат.
Начало.
Точно?
Да.
Нет, нет, нет. Катя первая.
Катя первая. Воу, линии много.
Линия есть.
Воу, ждем.
Воу.
Воу,
Воу.
воу.
Свив. Свив. Свив.
Да.
Все, оставьте.
Хорошо.
Well, that was a nice draw there by Anna Sidorova. Into the front of the 4-foot circle.
Is it there?
Have they managed to tuck enough of that red stone to prevent a double takeout?
There could be a triple there for 3.
If you miss thin, you might be able to get something off that. I know missing thick isn't better.
So it looks like, I think we may be coming off the wide one here. Harmon. Draw certainly looks really tough.
That's correct.
No, I certainly don't want to hit this one thick anyway. Don't know if they can quite get enough speed, but if they did have enough speed, they might be able to come onto the top of the red and push their own yellow out of the 4-foot circle. Here's Rachel Homan sending down the heat.
Got legs.
I think they've given up on this one already.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't hit anything, and Emma Miskew has a job catching that one. There will be a steal here in the 7th end. And Russia taking the advantage here, leading Canada by 3 shots to 2. Here's the replay, just slides by. But really need to hit on probably quarter stone to have any chance of making that shot. However, I think it was worth the risk, especially in the 7th end. An odd end, of course, and I'm sure Rachel Holman will be more than happy to have the hammer in the 8th.
Some of the Russian staff there.
Yeah, I might expect quite a strong Russian support this week, obviously just over the border.
Yeah, St. Petersburg not being that far away. Of course, this team basically out of Moscow, I think.
And Armin, the Russian national squad, having a little bit of an overhaul in their coaching staff.
Managed to pick up Thomas Lips, coach of the world champion Miriam Ott team from last year from Switzerland. And then going on to winning the European Championships in Sweden last December. So world champion and European champion.
Were
all in 1 year.
Were you not paying Thomas enough money?
I guess not.
Yeah, certainly a world-class coach. And instant results with this Sidorova team winning in Karlstad in December.
This will be the test this week, though, to back it up with this field. See how well they do.
Well, the Russians have certainly always made a lot of shots, just not always the right ones, and that's really, I think, where Thomas Lips' task lies. Galkina having an absolute stormer this morning, 94%, plays Lisa Weigel 75. Obviously, we've just picked up this game, but I wonder how many of those shots that Lisa Weigel's played has been tick shots so far today. Has been a tactic that Rachel Holman's favoured this season. Anytime they've got the last stone, trying to keep the centre open.
You got a lead throwing percentages like Galkina's right now. You're going to win a few games.
Yeah, it does enough to hide a piece here as well. I think Lisa Weigel trying to chip the centre here. Maybe roll in behind the corner.
Nicely done.
It's just amazing how many of these shots Lisa Weigel plays. Really just makes it look easy.
Don't want to leave those guards too close to the house when you're letting her do that.
Absolutely, and here is Latvia back in action again. Got a really entertaining performance last night. Really got pretty crazy down the second half of that game. Really was anyone's game against Japan. And here's Stasa Sarsuna trailing by 7 shots to 2 and drawing for 1.
Looking at 4 or 5 there.
Uses the backing nicely, and it will be a score of 1. But lots to do. 3 ends to go there, and trailing Italy by 7 shots to 3 without the last stone.
Russians just managed to flash one.
Больше половины надо попадать.
Ну давай, да.
Или просто ролл.
Окей. Ага.
There's some pretty good numbers there for the Canadian second. Allison, 95%.
Yeah, Alison Krausak made a pretty disastrous start in the first game against Scotland, but really starting to come strong now as we move through the round robin. Bombing it.
Almost a good shot by Florina. Just needed to roll a little more.
Okay, draw the throw down. It's up to you. I don't mind here.
Okay. Pretty well open. Opportunity for the Canadians to hit and roll behind their own guard again. Or behind the Russian guard.
Wait, good. Yep. Hard. Whoa, wow. Close, close. No. Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No.
Just not getting enough of it.
Yeah, getting excellent separation between those yellow stones there. And so often the key when you've got the last stone, you're trying to use the corner guards, you probably want to err on the side of rolling out the other side of the guard rather than sticking around the center line.
Sweep. Sweep.
Over curls, does hits and rolls out. Should be able to get an in-turn draw around that.
Come on, this way.
Whoop.
We can bury.
Quite a bit.
Okay.
Don't know if that draw is there.
Okay, well.
Decides to take it from the out-turn side.
Yeah. So just make sure it's even. Yeah, make sure we're even.
Well, looks like we've got a good game on our hands here. Miscue playing 88 against Privivkova 84.
Yep, no, it's good.
Yeah, not much to choose between the teams and the stats.
Wait only. Line's good. Wait only. Switch. Wide open. Finish, yep. Yep, finish. Hard. Hard, 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 hard.
Great shot.
Russia needing to be a little bit careful here. Not really too much cover to work with in the center line, and it's looking good here for Canada at the moment. Line 2 with the last stone advantage here in 8. Well, how good is that hit and roll from Lucy Privivkova? Really well played hit and roll, but gets a really good shot, but still it doesn't really give Russia any real advantage in this end.
Well, just come back, tap it back, Iraq. It's life 2.
A nice tap back there by Emma Miscue, and I think we have to go back to Lisa Weagle's second stone. Came down, chipped the guard off, and there's really been absolutely no danger here for Canada, and they've now got an excellent chance for a multiple score here in 8.
Russians will definitely need to get a little roll here, get behind cover.
Sidorova with some work to do here. Difficult to see how she's going to stop Rachel Holman scoring two here in the 8th.
Doesn't get the roll. Nose hit. Well, Holman gets the roll here. There's a possible 3 set up.
Because you weren't hacked. Okay. You were light. Keep cleaning it the whole way because it helps keep the line. Okay. Emma's came down. Like it wasn't even half and I hit it through. What are you throwing? The same weight's not bad, but hack's nice to get a roll over. Okay. Stickier here?
Maybe a touch.
So
right?
Rachel Holman a little bit down on Sidorova. Sidorova played 94. We saw a bit of a circus shot in the last end. Attempt anyway. Which of course would have gone down as a 0, so hitting a good one here. Okay, so again, line 2, and they're going to try and make this hit and roll over behind the corner once again. Meanwhile, 2009 world champions China playing against the reigning silver medalists at the European Championships this year. Here's Eve Muirhead with a chance for 4, a tough double, and she has absolutely nailed it. See how lively those stones are. Makes the half stone hit, rolls over, and it will be a score of 4 in the game between Scotland and China. 7 ends played there. Scotland 6, China 4.
Just rolls too far. Easy draw for Canada. Score their deuce.
So, this is the side 2 thrown.
Nice attempt by Sidorova there.
Okay, this is your path, eh?
Well, last path was my path and it got faster. You think it got faster again?
I don't think
the last
so.
one would have been like back 8, back 12, right?
Yeah. I think throw just like a little lesson for your last draw.
You think it's sticky here or no?
This side is a touch slower.
It's because it curls more too on this side, right?
Okay, I'll throw the same way as last time then.
Okay.
Okay.
Seems to be a little bit of indecision here about what the speed is. You wouldn't expect Rachel Holman to be too far away with this one. Just needs to find the 8-foot circle. But Krevzok and Weigel really having to go hard on this.
You got it. Hard, hard, hard.
That looks all right.
You're good, guys. Great sweep.
Good sweep. Front end.
So there you have it. A score of 2 yellows and 2 for Canada. 8 ends played here, and it's Canada 4, Russia 3. Welcome back to the Volvo Sports Centre. We're live for draw 6 of the Titlis Glacier Mountain World Women's Curling Championships. And if you've tuned in expecting to see Sweden, Switzerland, well, you're a little bit late for that one. It was a short-lasting affair and only went 6 ends. Sweden walking all over Switzerland by 9 shots to 0. So we've picked up here with Canada, Russia. Canada scoring 2 in the 8th end to take a 4-3 lead over Russia. Some really nice use of the corner guards by the Canadians. And I'm sure Russia will be trying to blank this 9th end and take the last stone into the 10th. And for me, Armin, I said this a few times this week, it's the 9th end's really become, over the last couple of seasons, one of the most fascinating ends in curling in a tight game.
Absolutely. Difference between 1 or 2 points up or down. What do you do with that end? The battle for position to set yourself up for the 10th end has certainly become very interesting. Rock positioning being also important.
Would you agree with me that just over the last couple of seasons, maybe teams have been more willing to be aggressive and really push hard to get what they want into the 10th end, get the scenario they want?
Absolutely, you want to control the 10th end. You want to be in a position to be able to score your 1 or 2. Statistics have been interesting for the 10th end. Being up 1 without the hammer, wins tend to be prevalent on that side as where you would think being with the hammer.
I think quite often the teams choose to be 1 down with rather than 1 up without, just because they know they have a little bit more control over the situation. They maybe feel like they've got a chance when they go to an extra end, even if they only score 1, but
in the extra end you end up not having the hammer anymore.
Well, absolutely. So interestingly, Rachel Holman choosing to go into the house for their 2nd stone. A lot of teams these days throwing a double center guard in the 9th end when they want to force, but maybe just with that 1-shot lead, they're maybe not needing to push quite as hard.
I think they'd be very content to force the Russians into scoring 1. Especially with that SWE-SUI throwing lead rocks. Those guards not that effective with her throwing those peels so well.
Yeah, and Alison Krevizok's having a mighty fine game as well. He's foaming up, trying to hit and stick to lie 2 here.
Behind. Normal weight, Ali.
Going for the hit and stick here. And the absolute key is, I don't hate the call on the wing here, but they absolutely must stick around. And Rachel Holman standing already. I think this one's going to over curl. And rolls out of the rings. Disaster. And I'm sure we'll see Sidorova peel that guard.
Every time she throws that, we have to go face to face.
Just having a good think about it anyway. Come on, Anna. That centre guard needs to go. There we go. That's the call, and there is the Russian bench.
And on it right away. Doesn't want to nose it.
Sweep the other red over to the foam.
Yeah.
There you go, manages to touch anyway. So I don't think Rachel Holman will be too keen to get engaged around the corner guard at this point. Miscue makes a nice hit and roll into the rings. Very much looks like this ninth end could be blanked. I think that's Rachel Holman was a little bit hesitant to call the hit in the wing. I think she always knew that if there was a mistake on that one, then it might well go this way.
Well, she did indicate she wanted to draw behind the center guard with her first. Thoughts? Let's throw one up on the other side to change positions. Trying to force an error from the Russians.
It's quick there. It was
Sweep! 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 Да-да-да! Да-да-да-да-да-да! О, хорошо. Спасибо.
Rachel Holman remove this Russian counter. Routine stuff.
I think it's getting quicker. Like M's looked slow and then it was all there. I just misjudged.
Probably more misjudged than anything.
Близко 9 было?
Да, 95. Нет, нет. Нет, нет. Протирайте, протирайте.
Right on the beat from Anna Sidorova. Very much looks like this ninth end is going to be blanked.
Holman will try and get a little roll here, just to a little closer to the middle. Want to force the Russians to roll as far as possible to get out of the house.
Down. Close. Yep. Whoa, whoa. Yes! Whoa, whoa. Whoa, Ellie. Yep, yep. Yep.
Right to the middle.
Just less than your last one. Just a little bit less. Okay. Nice throw.
Thanks.
So Rachel Holman rolls it to the center line just to Try and maximise how far Anna Sidorova has to roll to get her shooter out of the rings and blank this ninth end.
I got it through like a light tap, and it ticked or almost went through the house. So it was like, oh, it's fast.
You need to hit these rocks fairly solid in order to stick around. These striking bands, very lively. Working it though. Oh, an error, mistake from the Russians.
Well, Sidorova will be disappointed with that one. And all of a sudden Canada put themselves in a great position to win this game. 9 ends played here. It's a tie game. Russia 4, Canada 4. Welcome back. End number 10. Canada and Russia. Tie game. And Canada have the last stone in this 10th end, the last end of regulation time. And I think we know what we'll be seeing here. Center guard goes up. And Lisa Weagle's going to call the tap here. The tick, sorry. Seems to be pretty good. Noticed how she always plays them on the end turn. It seems to be her preferred handle for these shots. Quite often the leads can call the tick shot however they want, whether they want to go across the face or into the stone, or whether they want to throw the out turn and the in turn, but generally they need to throw that kind of backline weight to not push the shot stone out of play. So a perfect tick shot there by Lisa Weagle.
Shot is becoming more and more routine as opposed to being difficult.
Well, the thing about the tick shot, Armin, is that it's really quite a playable shot in these arena ice conditions, whereas maybe a little bit more difficult in your local club.
What turn do you want?
Whichever. Just a hair more weight.
Okay. Okay, just a touch more.
It's gonna curl a little more.
It's a lot tighter, so yeah, touch more weight. Yeah.
Line's good. More weight. Yep. Oh. Right off.
No.
Yep. Hard.
Hard. Coming down again.
And all the weight's off of it.
Okay, so a little bit lighter this time, but actually another super shot here by Lisa Weagle.
Opens up the middle. That's what Holman wants.
Really gives the Canadians such an advantage in that situation. Here's Bing Yuan, the Chinese skip. Really needing a hit and stick here against two Scottish counters. Trailing by 6 shots to 4, 8th end. Down with the brushes, and how does it look? On to the nose. It will be a score of 1. 1 for China, and Scotland will have the hammer in the 9th, leading by 6 shots to 5.
The Russians slide into the 4-foot here.
Out,
maybe. Wherever we roll is behind the tee line.
Might
I guess.
create
We
an
can try, but I don't
interesting
think it's
situation.
worth leaving it like.
Can't roll that way because.
But even if I'm here, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Sorry?
I prefer just like getting the rock out.
Just peel it?
Well, she wants to stick around, so.
I don't know if I like that because then it'll jam on. You try and hit it on that side.
You don't like this?
I prefer rolling to the side with our rock.
We're already a foot over to the center, so it's easier to roll it.
But then you can't get that rock out.
Okay, it's up to you. Well, I don't think we'll be hitting that rock.
Wow.
We'll probably be like just behind
It's
the
just
tee
then we
line.
have rocks on both sides. When we try to peel, we'll jam on both our rocks.
Okay.
Okay, normal alley.
I don't think they necessarily need to roll behind the cover here, Armin. They
roll
could
right out.
yeah, they could just hit and run, but we're just trying to see if they can get a little bit more mileage out of this shot. They could even just hit and roll to the edge of the forefoot. I don't think they want to leave it on the center line, but
no.
They could leave it in a useful position for themselves.
Roll it out, Lee. It is. It doesn't matter.
Okay, Allie.
I think that was just as simple.
Would have been nice to stay.
Okay,
So we could just blast it.
Latvia and Italy. Here is Diana Gaspari facing 2 red counters. Leading by 7 shots to 3. And Super's having to work hard on this one to get it by the guard. Oh, chips the guard. And it will be a steal of 2 in the 9th end. And Latvia continue their good form in the second half of games.
Absolutely, they don't give up. Keep coming at you.
Yeah, they really seem to be a team that come well from behind. But maybe need to work on their first half strategy to give them a realistic chance in these games.
Pretty thin.
Okay.
I don't mind trying it now.
Okay.
I think there's definitely some value in going for the double here.
All we really
Might as
need
well.
is shot.
Important is that one in the middle disappears.
I throw like down normal, and then if we were
Yeah,
hitting it, then
and also that their shooter goes. They absolutely cannot leave a stone on the center line here.
No.
I like normal because it's moving.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Allie.
Normal weight.
Okay, if it curls up, we'll get the roll, but go for the double.
On the ice,
Really close.
Come up.
Nice.
as one of the original 4, really nice double here. Yeah, as the original 4 of a Canadian team at International Championships. She was the alternate for Rachel Holman's team at Flems of the World Juniors in Switzerland just a couple of years ago. Of course, Rachel Holman and our Canadian team brought home the silver medal that week. A super double here.
Losing to Sweden's Hasselberg, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great performance by the Swedish team in the final. And Russia have called the timeout, so it's maybe this point in the end where they might want to consider a change in strategy.
Well, they threw 2 guards, which were peeled, and they threw 2 in the top of the forefoot, which have been removed. Maybe a good time to try a guard again.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying one more guard.
And I would leave it high too, because you do have those rocks laying around. Just throw something just over the hog line.
Well, here comes your pal, Thomas Lips. Sure, he's got some pretty good ideas on this one.
Interesting to hear him speak Russian.
The high guard, which we tried to. With the first, of course. And the second.
And then I would go into the news. But the first one, yeah, let's say 1 meter above the hog line. So that's probably
Чтобы ей было сложно снимать.
but there is a chance. And after that, with already then with the second going to something behind this guard probably. So that we are short at least.
Okay.
Well, Armin, Thomas bailed on the Russian there. Yeah.
That's most English I've heard him speak too.
Well, I think I totally agree. I think it's, as you said, Armin, the guard's absolutely the right call with this one, but maybe with the next one it might be worth considering going into the house, and it's a bit of a change of strategy because you're not trying to close up the center. But what you can do is you can still make Rachel Holman face 2 with her last stone, and you never know, you might get a head and roll out. The last thing you want to do is just to leave her an open hit.
Absolutely.
Самый дальний. Самый дальний.
Lucy Privevkova probably looking for
Just wanted just over the hog line. Would be good. Just make that angle a little tougher for that clearing.
yeah, it looks like a perfect spot. It's going to be a difficult one to peel with those corner guards there.
Do you want to go by it or into it? Like on top of the guard. That's real thin to go on top, and then it might drag it back in. So thick? Sorry? Go thick then? Sure? Okay. I don't mind going thick this way. It looks harder from here, but whatever you think.
Going thick, she
You can
wants
go
to.
thin this way.
Well, the thick and the thin that she's talking about
right
is
through the house. Yep.
is what side to take it past the corner guard. For me, looks like a far easier shot to go on the in turn and
I
chip
just don't
it
want to like hit. I don't
away
wanna go
from
thin
the
this
yellows.
way. Okay. I feel like I have more room on this side. I'm just worried about you tapping them in. But I'd rather tap them in than roll and leave a guard there. Okay, we could go by it pretty easy though. There's a big gap here. Okay, so are we going thick? We can, yeah. Like 3/4? Well,
Sure.
2/3.
Half, I think, half's not gonna stick it.
Okay, which way?
I think it was important just to
Try to
have a
hit
good
it.
chat about that one and make sure everyone's on the same wavelength.
we're trying to like.
Halfstone's going to go pretty close to that white red and
Okay.
may stick around. So maybe just looking for a little bit thicker than half. And even if they do manage to wiggle one down onto that back yellow on that side of the sheet, it's not really in
She
play.
just doesn't want to roll back into the middle, that's all.
Well, she doesn't want to nose it, that's for sure. Oh, and a lifeline here for Russia.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing another guard here from Russia. Get one in tight to the rings. This guard's a little bit long for me.
Just off the center, too. Now you put one halfway on the center line would be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. You just want to tuck a little edge off it, and it makes it really difficult for Russia to, for Canada to peel it.
Протирайте. Кать, протирай, Кать. Катя, нет,
Oh, I don't think Thomas Lips really spoke to the team about what happens if they actually nose the peel. He was kind of expecting them to make it. There's Lucy Privevkova here. Needs to keep it top side of the tee line.
That's being a 4-foot, too.
Well, it's a little bit of a let off.
Yeah.
Certainly should have erred on the short side.
What am I hitting? Sorry? How much do I have to hit?
Half?
Hey,
Quarter's fine.
Well, deciding to play this peel on the other side this time.
Whoa.
Well, it looks like an easier one going the in-turn side again to me, but yeah, maybe not feeling too confident after that last attempt. Just to chip that one across the top.
Worked out.
That one was a 13-6. Повыше хочешь так же или поближе? Поближе, ближний надо, наверное. Тогда 0, да, нормально. С этой стороны можно 9.
Да, здесь можно 9.
Well, I think it needs to be a centre guard once again here for Sidorova. I'm almost sure that Rachel Holman is going to peel it. Because there's nothing in there behind to really trouble Russia. So Anna Sidorova will just want to put this in a tricky spot to peel once again.
Don't want it too deep.
Не надо, не надо, линия есть, оу. Ничего.
That's not going to do too much for her.
You know what, Armin, I think Anna Sidorova's missed a trick here. I don't think it was important to guard that stone at the back of the 8 foot.
No, not at all. Is that she wanted to call that? Or she called that?
Well, I don't know if it just over-curled, but
might have over-curled it.
For me, that guard needed to finish on the centre line. Here is a final score. Italy have defeated Latvia by 7 shots to 5, despite that steal of 2 in the 9th end. Italy managing to run it home in 10 and will get their first win of the week. Back in our featured sheet, here's Rachel Holman playing the peel. Very much looks like the forfeit's going to be open for her last stone. Now, Armin, you've got 1 stone left here. You're Anna Sidorova. Where do you put it?
Top of the 8 foot would probably be the best place. Try and cut down her draw.
Может быть, наоборот, сюда.
Just while Anna thinks this one over, Scotland and China, 9th end. Here's Eve Muirhead. Already lying a couple, it looked like.
Line's good.
Lying 1, maybe even 2. So this could be a game killer here. Scotland playing a really strong second half here against the 2009 world champions.
Has to come down though.
That was obviously a 2. I think they were trying to sweep that.
Tap that back, yep.
Yeah, just trying to move that yellow back a couple of inches to score the deuce. Score the 3. Manages to get 2 though, and Scotland very much in command now. Leading by China. I'm having a nightmare this morning, Armin. Leading China by 8 shots to 5. Here's Anna Sidorova. Looking for something just kind of in the front portion of the 8 foot circle.
Doesn't want to go too deep, doesn't want to leave a nose hit. Really want to get to the center line and leave it there. Just touching the 8 foot is good. It's not bad. It could have been over to the left a little more.
Yeah, and maybe even at least a stone further down, closer to the middle.
But still forcing Canada to make this draw.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky shot for the sweepers though, because they want to get it as close to the button as possible, but if you ever over sweep it, then the skip's really not going to be very happy with you if Rachel has a nose hit. So this outturn side's wide open, and Rachel Holman will just have to
see the difference from here, what that would have made if that rock had been over another width of a rock. Draw accuracy at 76%.
So far the win, Rachel Holman in the 10th end.
Pretty good. Mine's really good. Really hanging. It's really hanging. Mine's really
Sweeper's
good.
looking reasonably confident.
Hard. Look up. Clean it. Heavy clean. Great shot, Rach.
Super draw here by Rachel Holman. Cuts the T-line. And it's going to be a win for Canada after a disappointing start against Scotland. Really starting to get on the train now. Canada pick up another win, while Russia will lose out in this 6th draw.
So I think there's a ridge there. I had to, because if I was on the 4 foot, they dive in. It's like a ridge.
Like, we're pretty close to that line, and it still swooped in.
So that will take Russia to 2 wins and 2 losses, while Canada will saunter on to 3 wins and 1 loss. tying up at second place with Switzerland and probably Scotland if they can hold out against China in the 10th end. Which we're just going to move over to catch the conclusion of that game, so don't go anywhere quite yet. Certainly getting your money's worth this morning.
Certainly are. 3
games out of 4, that's not bad.
That was the day schedule, wasn't it? 3 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got the rest of the day off now.
We're doing that.
Yeah, it feels like that game between Switzerland and Sweden was about an hour and a half ago.
It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Game that the Swiss will want to forget very quickly.
Okay, so if you're a Scottish fan, you'll be pleased to see them leading by 3 and possibly even happier to see there being no stones in play.
Absolutely none, yep.
Really difficult to see how China are going to score 3 in this final end to tie it up. Becky Adams usually pretty good with the peels.
Mission accomplished.
So that's the line scores. For this.
4, huh?
Yeah, we saw earlier on a huge double takeout from Eve Muirhead. Hitting a kind of thick half. Just doing enough to squeeze one out the side door.
Tough shot.
Jing SWE-SUI, 27-year-old, throwing up the corner guard once again.
Okay.
Oh, Eve's not messing about. She's out there to put the brush down before that stone even stops. It's a bit of a shaky start, and really surprised to see China's form over the last couple of years. Here's Anna Sloan sending down the peel. Yeah, China just seem to have gone off the boil a little bit since the last Olympics, picking up the bronze medal there and then just having a really poor time.
Yep.
11th last year in Lethbridge, and they're going to have to wait a little bit longer to secure their first win here too.
I don't believe they're spending as much time in Canada as they were those days, and they certainly are working with purely Chinese coaches.
Okay.
Foreign coaching involvement at the moment in the Chinese system.
Okay.
Well, actually, Armin, that would make a lot of sense from a tactical point of view as well. We always think of the Pacific teams being really good technically, but it's maybe their tactical game that needs to improve for them. Maybe just their nations being a little bit more in their infancy when it comes to the world of curling and
maturity in the game. Absolutely, that's so much value. 13 years or whatever of curling, that's not enough mostly.
Yeah, and in the games that we have seen, Ping Yu Wang has been a little bit of a tactical naivety that's let her down. Just really no balance to her approach. It's either all-out defense or all-out attack. It's just need to try and work on that. I'm sure she can call all the right shots. It just needs maybe a little bit more help with the overall kind of strategy than the actual individual shots that are getting called.
That's the way I see it also, yeah. Not getting a lot of help from the coaching bench probably in that sense. Great work ethic on those Asian teams.
Yeah, I believe it was Lauren Hamblin, wasn't it, that was working with the Chinese before?
Well, it was briefly there last year, I believe. So, although they ended up 11th with Lauren Wald, but I don't think they did a lot of work with them.
Well, manages to squeeze one in behind this stone in the bumper.
Yeah, just a little fighter.
Still can't see Eve missing this one.
Not the way she's been throwing this game, I believe. She's been pretty solid.
Some Scottish fans. Robbie Dick and Maggie Bush in there. So here's Eve Muirhead. Hard to believe, just 22 years old.
Still.
Just
keeping this disappear, and that'll be game over.
Thank you.
There you go. That's the end of that.
Thank you.
Well played by Scotland in the end after a shaky start, falling 3-1 behind early on, but really turning up the heat in the second half. Big scores in the 7th and the 9th. And Scotland will run China out of stones in the 10th. Final score here, Scotland 8, China 5.
Go back to the highlights here. Sweden and Switzerland, after scoring 2 in the first end. Kieran Sony here in the third would need to drop one anywhere in the 8-foot to make it 2-1. Sliding rock just going that much too far. Allows a steal of 2 for Sweden, making that score 4-0. Fourth end, looking at 6 Swedish counters. Things just not coming together for the Swiss in this game. Kieran Sony needing to draw to the tee line. Finds the weight, but just over curls, allows another steal. It's a 5-0 game at this point. Swiss just not putting it together. And here in the 6th end, kind of a desperation moment for the Swiss to even stick around. A draw. That's just not curling up. Running straight for her. And another steal of 3. And that was it for the Swiss. They're hoping for better games than that. Put that away, that'll drop them a game. Still 3 wins and 1 loss. And Swedes 9-0 score.
Latvia by 7 shots to 5. See how the overall standings look now. Sweden, the only team undefeated so far this week. Scotland, Canada and Switzerland all in the chasing pack. I'd say things starting to move in the direction that we thought they might do at the start of the week. Russia still very much in the mix, and teams below them with some work to do, but still a long way to go in this round robin. So let's see what Margareta Sigfridsson had to say. Margareta, you made a really good start against Scotland last night and again today against Switzerland. What's the secret to these fast starts?
Well, the secret is to really get going in the beginning and not to play quite easy. That's our strategy in the beginning of the games. Sometimes we are a slow starter, so we have worked on that for a few years now, and I think we're getting there.
That certainly seems to be working so far this week. How do you maintain your concentration when you get off to a big lead start?
Well, we just keep focusing and we don't get relaxed at any point, and we just keep going, and we know it's not enough to win if you score just 4 points, so you need to keep on playing and play really well.
Okay, and how are you going to maintain this form for the rest of the week?
Well, we just keep on playing well and feel good and get rest when we can. It's an intense week, many games, so we just keep on focusing.
Congratulations and good luck with the rest of the week. there you have me tripping over my own words there to finish off that interview. But Sweden easily victorious over Switzerland and still undefeated here at the World Women's Championships. Thanks for watching.